All right, Jenni L. Walsh is a USA Today best-selling author of over a dozen books. Her latest book comes out, I think, today. We're so lucky to have her. It's inspired by the true story of horse divers, and it's called Sonora. Welcome.
Hi, thank you for having me.
So this is interesting. You write for adults and for kids. So Sonora, where does that fall? Is this for grown-ups or for younger readers? Talk about the book itself.
Yeah, Sonora is for my grown-up readers. It is a story of a woman during the 1920s and 1930s who dove on horseback, but she did it from 45 feet in the air into a pool of water. It's quite the feat.
It is quite the feat. And we were talking about inspiration for this book, but this was a real person and a real, time period that people would go and watch this happen. Talk about like reading about this as far as Sonora herself and this as a phenomenon.
Yes, I was very fortunate that I was able to use Sonora's memoir while writing this book, and she gets into all the nitty-gritty, and I brought it to life. It was a carnival act that was the first of its kind, and people just flocked to see it. So it was really interesting to go back to the heyday of this time and bring it to life.
I read a little bit where you had to find a balance for this when it comes to horse diving, because in terms of what today we would think of as kind of acceptable for animal welfare, it was a different time and the norms were different. It was, different animal things that, people didn't think maybe were, they weren't bad. Now we'd be worried about it. How do you like make the balance of making sure that everyone, feels like, okay, this is a good story?
Yes, that was quite the juggle to do, and I wanted to just really focus on Sonora and the Carvers, who were the troupe that she was with, and their dedication to the horses, their love of the horses. I'm sure there were many performers at the time that weren't like the Carvers, and those are the ones that would very much concern me. But I was very happy that I wasn't writing about that family. Like I said, the Carvers just adored their horses, and that made it very easy to tell a story that really respected the animals of that time.
And when it comes to the specific person, her story is amazing. She was injured and kept going, and I can't even. Does that make it into the book? Because when I read about that, and I saw that there was a movie about her life at one point, it's kind of amazing that her injury didn't stop her.
Yes, her injury was just one of those things that changes your life. I don't want to actually say what it is, although people who've seen Wild Hearts Can't Be Broken probably know.
I won't say. I didn't say.
Yes, we were both very careful. But she was able to overcome one of the greatest adversities she could ever face, and she continued to dive for 11 years after tragedy.
Did you learn from her, like reading this and reading about her life? Did you feel like, oh, I'm inspired?
Oh, absolutely. And I've known Sonora's story for a very long time. I grew up watching the movie. I live in the same county that Sonora lived in. I went to Atlantic City where she performed many times. So I feel like Sonora's story has always been in the back of my head. And then the time was right to tell it. And I just feel so grateful that I had the opportunity.
How do you immerse yourself in a different time period to make us feel like we're there? I feel like, we're also, in our phones and technology. And what's it like to kind of strip that away? And how do you get in that headspace?
Oh, I have some interesting author rituals that I do to get into my writing headspace, but I always just try to really immerse myself in the voice of the person that I'm writing about. And authors will say this, and it sounds kind of funny, but once you can start to hear the voices in your head and once dialogue starts going in your head between characters, then you know you're in the sweet spot.
You're in the sweet spot. And again, this book comes out, Sonora comes out today. I actually want to read the book that came out in 2024 I just saw. Is it Unsinkable? That's another really
Oh, yes.
That looks amazing. You had two timelines there. Talk a little bit, I know I kind of surprised this on you, but Unsinkable looks like a great book also.
Yeah, Unsinkable is set partly on Titanic, and it's about a real-life woman named Violet Jessup who survives Titanic, but also two other ship disasters. And one of the main questions I ask in that book is why? Like, why do you keep getting back on ships, Violet? And then there's also a second storyline set during the war of a woman who's kind of a grouping or mashup of about 28 different women who were in the SOE during the war. So very fun novel to tell two different timelines, and then those timelines emerge at the end to reveal a little bit of a surprise.
I love that. I love that. If you're kind of wanting to take a break away from all of today and technology, all of Jenni's books are a spectacular choice for you. And again, she's writing about amazing women in history for a lot of her books. So here's the deal. What you want to do is go onto the QR code that's on the screen. She is also a tall poppy writer, and if you need to find a new read with great female authors, Tall Poppies is your source, again, for your next great read. Thank you so much, Jenni, for joining us today. Sonora is out today.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, congratulations.